So one of the reasons the Dolphins added $72 million Tyreek Hill is that their quarterback is not Patrick Mahomes. Now, you would agree he's not Patrick Mahomes, the player, but what really matters is that he's not Patrick Mahomes, the cap hit. He is basically a rookie, actually, still, to Tagovailoa in terms of cap hits. Whereas this year, Patrick Mahomes' cap hit is a pretty manageable $35 million. Next year, it jumps to $46 million, 44 after that, then 46, then 44, then 59.9, then 44, then 44, then 50, then 52.
What year is this? 2038?
2031. I mean, some college football programs don't schedule games that far out, but Mahomes has got $52 million.
Well, the PGA Tour just announced the 2051 U.S. Open, so you never know. People are thinking big picture now.
That's true. That's true. It's different, right, with young quarterbacks. Tua Tagovailoa, John, cap hit, $8.25 million.
Which still feels a little steep.
Right. Trey's this year is 7.7.
So it's just a natural progression as the years go. Having a rookie quarterback who is your starting quarterback, it's irrelevant whether he's good or bad. And they don't truly know. Now, obviously, it's relevant. You want him to be Herbert, right? You want him to be Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. But to find that out, look at what they did with Josh Allen. By his third year, they traded their first-round pick for Diggs and then immediately extended him. Now, a lot of these teams made this move in the third year of the contract. I'd argue that's waiting too late. You're great as that, because once you go all in for a guy, as they did for Tua, as obviously the Niners did with Trey, as the Chiefs once upon a time did with Mahomes, as they did with Josh Allen, the clock starts. This is not, Matt Chapman, they're going to bring him up year forward, start that clock a little late. Like, that's not the way it works. My biggest beef right now with Jimmy Garoppolo, unless you tell me Jimmy Garoppolo is a starting quarterback, and even then it's like, well, what are we doing with Trey Lance? You wasted $27 million. And this notion, well, they wouldn't assign anyone. Well, they're fucking wasting time then, because they're going to have a lot of cap space next year as well. The cap's going to naturally go up. They can get rid of guys. They can restructure guys. You have to take advantage while the iron is hot, because in a perfect world, this guy's going to be good enough to give him. You don't extend these quarterbacks with they didn't have to give him like one of those $180 million deals. They gave him a $80 million deal. The guy's either sucks and you're getting rid of him after 4 or 5 years, or you're giving him a boo-goo extension, right? There is no middle ground. Are we on the same page
Baker's
there?
a great example. Right.
Yeah.
Baker's
Trubisky.
a great example of no, we can't do this. Trubisky's another good one.
Daniel Jones. It's just pretty clear.
Well, I don't know. The Giants might extend Daniel Jones.
Time's still going.
Gettleman from the grave. I mean, he's still living, but
I respect Miami for doing this. Part of it, and it's it could go wrong. You have to take a big swing because you have such an advantage with that 7, 8. Because I was like, God, 8 sounds a little rich for Tua, but relative to the starting quarterbacks, it's so cheap. It's so cheap. Hell, look at the 5th-year option, which is still relatively low, is $10 million more than Tua, right? So you still got 2 years of Tua at $8 and $9 million. And then if you pick up the 5th-year option and he plays on it, by then, in 2 years, what do you think that number is? 24, 25? Still relative to these guys making 50, you're like, still a lot of room to mess around with. And I just wonder if we look back, the Niners could have had a chance to just mess around a little bit more. And again, I'm not asking to sign everyone in free agency or to go Trent Baalke, but there were 2 or 3 impact guys that you could have just given Chandler Jones a 2-year, $32 million deal.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
$16 million.
7.7 this year, 9.3, and then 10.8. Those are the next 3 cap hits, including this year for Trey, and then the 5th-year option, whatever that number will be. Like you said, $25 million or something. But you hope you're picking it up, and I mean, it's a disaster if you're not, or you're paying them, you're extending them beyond that, right?
And that's what you would do, because if you go by the 5th year,
part of the cap going up is well, yeah, we can pay Debo. Debo is going to be, in theory, if you pay him this year, one of your big money additions, right?
But he's already on the team.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying that's $50 million guaranteed. Let's just put that aside for Debo. And how much for Bosa?
110.
Yeah. But the cap is all these teams are doing this stuff because the cap is going up, going up, going up. When people made the joke see, people say there's no cap. There is a cap. Well, it's like, yeah, the quarterback of the Chiefs is going to be $45 million against it this year, and the quarterback of the Packers is going to be whatever his 50. I don't know what is Aaron's number this year. Or maybe Aaron's number small this year, actually?
But the first year you sign the contract, everyone's like, well, how do we sign Debo and Nick Bosa? The 49ers have an unlimited amount of cash.
Yeah, 28 for Rodgers this year.
The 49ers, cash is no big deal. They have the ability with the cash on hand and the money they've made to cut 2 checks right now for these guys. So the Jimmy money is irrelevant. Here's the other thing. When I sign 2 guys to 4- and 5-year contracts, I manipulate the cap. Both those guys' cap hits would be very, very small. Now, Debo's is small, but Bosa's, who like a high pick, right, this year going into his 4th year, I bet he's making $9-10 million. I bet his cap hit would go down. So you actually move the money back. Now, if you're a cash-poor team, it gets a little more complicated. You need the money. That's not the category the Niners are in. They are cash plus.
And really, most teams in the NFL are not, right? These are not the Pirates.
No, even fucking Mark Davis now is like $6-7 million. Here, signing bonus $40 million. Right? And he's going to sign Derek. He signed Chandler Jones. Like all these, because the media deals are so much money that I do think that it's like, I know they operate like they're Farhan meets Friedman meets Daryl Morey, but holy shit. I mean, all these other teams are not operating like that. And the Chiefs have gone all in the last couple of years, and they've benefited from it.
Well, a lot of the teams have. I mean, a lot of teams have gone NBA. The Rams have gone NBA. The Chiefs have gone NBA.
Tampa.
Like, these are Super Bowl champs. And Tampa's gone NBA. Super Bowl champs. I'm not going to say Miami's gone NBA. Hell, even Bill spent a bunch of money last offseason, right? Bill spent the most money he'd ever spent in free agency, I think, last year.
And think about the players he got. Like, he targeted 5 or 6 guys, and they were all made a lot of sense. My only beef is Chandler Jones, him specifically. All the other guys, but it's just
like the Niners weren't going to acquire Tyreek Hill and pay him.
Yes.
Or Devontae Adams wasn't coming to the Niners.
No. But just him, you've seen him kick ass. You could have easily afforded it, and all of a sudden it's like, you got fucking Chandler Jones and Nick Bosa. And people are like, how we paid Nick Bosa? Easily. You just give him $110 million, and you move in the cap. You start Trey Lance. But as long as Jimmy is here, and every day that goes by, I just think there's a 50-50 shot Jimmy just stays. Now they can, as long as they win, they'd be like, well, see, we didn't even need him. I'd be like, well, you haven't made any progress then if Jimmy keeps playing on your young quarterback who eventually has to start. Part of you even feel better about making these moves when you have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. The Dolphins are doing it more out of desperation. Like the Chargers are doing it more like we're trying to win 3 playoff games. The Dolphins are like, we're just hoping to win 9 games, right? Or 10 games again and be in the mix. The Chargers made the move to Mac as like, we easily got $17 million. Second round pick means nothing to us, and we want to win 12 games next year because we got this great quarterback who makes nothing. And that's, I think, ideally, in theory, best case scenario for Trey Lance. Like after this year, you're like, okay. But you could have helped him out on top of that this year. And they're lucky. The Niners have a core group of offensive players, and they do a good job acquiring offensive skill guys. That's not my worry. But you can never have enough Jimmies and Joes on the other side. We saw their Super Bowl team. They had Jimmies and the Joes. And they kind of did that because Jimmy wasn't that expensive, right? They made a bold move for D Ford. It hasn't panned out big picture, but that year it worked.
Alexander?
They traded for him. They had drafted, a ton of defensive linemen. They had signed Sherman. Remember, Sherman wasn't that cheap. It was like $9 million a year. And it was a risky move, and then he was an all-pro. To me, Chandler Jones would have made a lot of sense. What happened? What's that?
The Rams are mutual interest between the Rams and Bobby Wagner in doing a deal. To your point,
this is one of your though. Just letting it out there, like the Rams.
I'm telling. Have you the trade today?
Well, that's one.
Trades are different because it names both teams and they're trying to leverage each other. But still, something is going on in the NFL reporting the last few weeks where these things are getting reported before they're done. It's like they're getting close.
Well, why? Because it's trying to drive up the price.
Maybe I know.
Bob. But who's telling him that? Is Bobby Wagner texting rap sheet? Like, hey man, put this out there.
Well, the Rams wouldn't do that.
No.
Is he trying to get the Niners? Like specifically, to get the Niners' attention?
See, here's the thing with Bobby Wagner. I would say for the Niners, the last couple of years, They traded 2 linebackers last year in camp. Like, I would say that's a position doesn't it feel like they know what they're doing?
They've made the most out of who they've got. Aziz, great hit, right? They nailed that.
Greenlaw, when healthy, is an ass kicker. What did Kyle called him? Mike Tyson when he came back, remember? Obviously, Fred Warner's a stud. Like, not anti-Bobby Wagner on the team, but I'd say D linemen are hard to find. DBs are hard to find. Like, why not go get Gilmore too? Like, what?
They could.
Does the team need Bobby Wagner? I'm not saying you don't need him, but you do not need him.
You don't need him, but it would be a signing that would chill people out a little bit, and that's not why you do stuff. But it would just because of the name, right? What you're saying is Chandler Jones is at the peak of his power. Well, 5 sacks in one game, but
he plays a position that's harder to find, right?
Right.
It's just so you overpay a little bit, but it's like I can find. I trust John Lynch, D'Amico Ryans, and the group to find another Aziz or another Greenlaw. Like they're pretty good at that. They had 2 guys they traded in camp at linebacker. I remember a buddy texted me last year in camp. They're like, "What do you think about a guy with 3 names?" I'm like, honestly, I'm not really watching that much training camp preseason film. They're like, God, their linebacker group is loaded.
Alshire, you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the backup guys that ultimately got moved. Like they knew that Greenlaw.
Who was the guy with
Alshire,
3 names?
And Fred Warner. It was one of the guys they traded in training
camp.
I
got you.
So like, during training camp, you just watch loaded units and you go, well, they can't keep them all.
Oh, remember there's Jonas Griffith? Traded to the Broncos?
Yeah. I think they had another guy that they cut that was claimed. So, I mean, they had 2 guys that ended up, I don't know how their seasons went, but ended up on 53-man rosters week 1 that they either traded or cut. And my point on Chandler Jones is, like, I have faith that they can find the Arden Keys and stuff, but it is harder. Like, what the team was better with Buckner, right? Than
Flanagan Fowles?
That might have been him, yeah.
Says Cameron on the stream.
What happened to Flanagan?
I feel like I saw his name on the back of someone's jersey.
I'm also just a huge believer in just D linemen. Like, I just think you just get aggressive with top-end talent at that position. They just make everyone look better. Like, when Bosa's humming and Armstead's humming, their defense looks dramatically better, and that's just 2 guys.
No, hold on. He was on the team last year.
Yeah, they got rid of
2 guys. They signed him, but that's not who they cut.
Yeah, they cut a guy at 53-man. They got claimed.
Yeah, I don't know. 3 names.
Weeds. Yeah,
somebody else will.
I might not even have 3 names. I just felt like that. 3 name guys.
Well, Aziz Alshire is a great 3-name guy. I mean, there's still a few guys out there. Like Stephon Gilmore's still out there.
Well, but here's the thing with guys like Stephon Gilmore and Bobby Wagner.
They want more money than people want to give them because they made a lot of money.
Do you think it's easy to just ultimately Buster Posey or John Gruden? They're selling their homes. Usually they go into a similar or a bigger home wherever they're going. Like, it's like Posey's he just moved into this 3-bedroom condo. Like, no, like you don't. It's hard to stomach. Now it's different in pro sports. Gilmore's been making 18 million. Bobby Wagner was making $20 million.
Does Robert De Niro make more for movies now than he's ever made before?
He definitely did in whatever is, 05 to 2015 or whatever. It feels like he's super old now, but yeah.
Yeah.
If he's still.
But I mean, does he get if he does a movie this year, does he get paid less for that than he got paid 15 years ago?
Probably not.
Or it's just the money, there's just so much more money. You got to.
Well, what did they give those 3 guys, Pacino, Pesci, and De Niro, to do that one movie? Didn't they give
I don't know. If they paid him by the hour, it was a lot because holy smokes.